Dodge, Yahoo, Phantom of the Forest, you Spearfinger, Fire Dragon, Ohio Grassman, Silver Giant, Bloodless Howler, West Virginia Vampire, Coyote King, Hogzilla, Devil Dog, Coyote Killer. Cave creature, Mothman, Smoke Wolf, Lizard Demon, Ashman, Grafton Monster, Cow-killing Bastard, Shadow Creature, Dustman, Cherokee, Death Cat, Wild Man, Great Fire Rape. What else do I have to say? Steal yourself some chicken wire, and I'll get some lumber. Catch the Thunder Brothers. Don't you dare get out of the golf cart. We can keep our big seats while we hunt the big feet. Snarly Gastro Team, Red Island Bear Beast, Silver Giant, Squalling Savage, Black Wolf was kind of average, Stone Giant, Raven Mocker, Midnight Whistler, Wampus Beast, Wawa Woman, Ohio Grassman again. Technically Huckleberry Wolfman or Wolf County need to find the X again if we hunt the Lightning Man. Webster's Werewolf, Daily Howl, Kentucky Hellhound, Little Girl, Headless Horror, I can't take it anymore. Steal yourself some chicken wire, and I'll get some lumber. Catch the Thunder Brothers. Don't you dare get out of the golf cart. We can keep our big seats while we hunt the big feet.
This is Bigfeets, the only Mountain Monsters watch-along podcast, which seems frankly absurd. After this episode, we can't be the first to discover this. This is like thinking, what if Jackie Chan fought jewel thieves with a mischievous gang? No, of course it's been done before. It has to be. This is parallel thinking, and we're ripping somebody off. And I'm sorry, I'm Robert Brockway, and I'm proud to stan Juck.
And I'm Sean Baby, wielding a stunning combination of strength, speed, stamina, and intensity. I'm one tough cookie to beat. Press B from Turnbuckle for flying elbow smash.
And I am New York Times bestselling author Jason Pargin. And we have arrived at the episode everybody has been waiting for us to arrive at. Finally, we started this show 9 months ago? That's how long it took us to get here?
You're so excited about it, and I don't blame you. I'm very excited too, that you forgot that the only reason any of us do this show is to plug the things that we plug.
All right.
There's no ads and we don't get paid. We actually pay quite a bit of money for the privilege of doing this. So Jason, hey, people find more from you.
The new book that is coming out this fall that is up for pre-order now. Yes, including in audio format. It's just like a podcast, except it's a long fictional story. The book is called I Am Starting to Worry About This Black Box of Doom. It is out in hardcover and in ebook form and in all of the other forms September 24th. But please, if you know you want it, pre-order it now. It is up for pre-order every place that sells books, except for like grocery stores and stuff.
And I know bullshit loved it. I've been working on my poll quote. I think here it is. You can use this or if you want. The black box of doom was you and me the whole time.
Aw. That's
I should have said spoiler. Spoiler.
You open it up and it's literally just friendship. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just got my copy in the mail. I'm excited to get into it.
No, I do love it. I told you this in Slack, but it is reminiscent of Donald Westlake, where there's lots of these points of views from every direction, and the jokes are not like, ha ha, here's a big punchline joke, but just like the thrust of the madness of the world onto a person, like dealing with it in a funny way. It's really good. I loved it. I know this makes you uncomfortable, me telling you nice things about your book, but
of course. You have to. You have to admit. Are we allowed to, should we cut all that, Jason? I forget if we're allowed to talk about having read it already.
No, by all means, it's fine. And please, listeners, don't interpret the fact that I gave it to Sean first. He got an emailed copy, and Brockway got a physical version. That I did not favor one of them over the other.
Yeah, mine actually smells like you.
Yeah, you touched his. I'm a little
jealous. That's the real suck it, Sean. Okay, well, my plug, I would like to plug the Dog Zone 9000, our other podcast where we just cover whatever ridiculous shit crosses our minds. We've just recently done Gorilla Flow about the most insane possible scam infomercial, which nobody had ever seen until us. It's about piss. It's about piss force. It's about the trauma of losing respect for your father, about maybe killing your father, and certainly about killing every single mountain gorilla. It's quite insane, and we did the follow-up podcast to that. We actually found another of this thing that there shouldn't have been
the
one.
Craziest thing that's ever been, and we found a second of it.
We found a second one that even fewer people had seen, called 2PT, about ancient cannibals who fucked their way out of extinction and how you can harness their blood dance to savage your wife. It's incredible. You should start with those two. Go listen to those two, and then if you like them, listen to a few more. That's it. That's my plug. Sean.
Oh, I'll plug 1900hotdog.com, which is the website we write. It's a daily comedy website. You might remember those from years and years ago before they were destroyed by corporate greed. But well-constructed articles about very zany and strange things by brilliant writers with lots of joke density. I'm very proud of it. It rules. And you can go to our Patreon, patreon.com/1900hotdog, if you want to support us and the remaining people doing this as an art form, I guess.
Fantastic. Great
and
plugs,
also,
I'm sure.
that Patreon also funds this show, which does come at some expense and at tremendous cost to our time, energy, and our souls. So it is purely funded by the Patreon. And, of course, as always, by our friends at BetterHelp.com. If you need therapy...
Is that a real business? You can't. No.
They got me to stop giving strangers hand jobs.
Only if we say something criminally liable will I allow this. BetterHealth.com told me to shoot my piss invalid father in the back of the head because it's a mercy. And you know what? They were right. There you go. Okay, so we are, like I said up top, we are Mountain Monsters Watch Along Podcast. We always tell you to start from the beginning, but I think that's right now. Like, this is a restart on the whole fucking show. Everything you know is out the window, except for the core tenets, which is this is a hillbilly X-Files monster hunting reality show, like those ghost hunter shows. Only in this show, they find Bigfoot within 5 minutes, and they get their fucking asses kicked. He just beats the shit out of them every single episode. It's incredible. Our cast is Trapper. He's the leader. Huckleberry is Bigfoot security. Only, no, he's not at all. Buck is the Husky Ninja and the Jon Snow to Trapper's. I forget whatever that white guy was at the wall. Jeff is our hillbilly research scientist. Willie is the actual Trapper. That's confusing. And Wild Bill is a tracker, but he's more like the Orko. If this was He-Man, he's Orko.
That's a really violent Orko.
Just Orko would go fucking. If Orko was on the amount of meth that Bill is on,
nothing. I feel like it would take Orko like 15 tries to get a knife, though. Like, that was Orko's bit, is he would try to get. Here's what I need for this situation. He pulls out a birthday cake, or he pulls out like a tire pump, and you're like, "Come on, Orko." Well, I think that's
what Bill is doing. Like, he goes, "Here's what I need for this situation."
Kind of, but
elephant gun. Wait, this is a pointy stick.
Right? No, he's a reverse Orko in that, like, the situation calls for something that isn't a knife, and then Wild Bill is like, "Hey, I have a knife." They're like, no,
I already have this. I have plenty. Don't worry, it's the one thing I don't.
We're driving to talk to a guy, Bill. We don't need a machine gun.
Okay, so like I said, this is like a partial reboot on the entire show. So if you loved the format of Mountain Monsters and therefore the format of Bigfeets, fuck you. That's over. It's done. Like, I know I've heard from countless fans who have said Bigfeets is like my version of the show Friends, where I love it because it's so formulaic. I just turn it on and I fall asleep, comforted by just the gentle sounds of all of my best friends. That's done. And I'm sorry that happened, that it wasn't a very satisfying ending. So I've actually written an ending that you can go back to the last episode, to the Bloodless Howler, and insert this ending if you want to just stop listening to the show right now. I'm going to give you a good solid ending. I would actually like your guys' help with this, so I'm going to paste some of your lines into chat.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And we're just going to perform our episode about the true ending of Mountain Monsters, Bloodless Howler. So I'll go first. Oh my god. I can't believe Buck killed Jeff. And Jason, this one's to you.
I can't believe Jeff was the Bloodless Howler, reading vandalized Wikipedia entries to throw the team off the trail of his fellow monsters.
And Sean?
I can believe Wild Bill ate him. I thought it was a really nice end to his arc when he said, well, this Marine, I guess he finally fall.
I think we all know it could only end one way for Willie. Killed by his own trap. The one thing he successfully caught. Himself. And Jason? This one's for you.
I also thought it was beautiful the way Trapper finally gave Buck the leadership hat.
And Sean, take us home.
Yeah, then he and Huckleberry retired to freebird their way across the country on custom choppers with each other's faces painted on the tanks. I'm not ashamed to say, I cried.
Beautiful. Perfect ending. There you go. It's all wrapped up. You can pretend that the whole show and
really
BigFeets itself just ended there, and you don't have to journey with us into formatless madness as we are going to start.
I think,
right
you,
now,
should, I would argue this is a much better show.
It rules. The way they break
yes.
their expected format in this episode in particular is fucking bonkers. If you thought it was bonkers before, yes, but that was like fun uncle bonkers. This is like real sad clinical diagnosis bonkers. This is just nuts in a whole new direction. To start with, we're watching, I'll just remind you, we're watching Mountain Monsters Season 1, Episode 20, Grassman's Revengeance. This is going to be a two-part episode on both of our parts. They don't split it up, but it's a double-length episode, and we are going to split it up. This is part 1. And to start with, we are revisiting for the first time a previous monster. They got that Jason Parge and Rainbow Snowflake note from Out of Time that you don't have to leave because the weekend's over. Like if there are lives on the line right. And it's Sunday, you don't have to just there's not a ref blowing the whistle on this one. You could just come back and try again. They got that 20 episodes, several seasons into it. It's amazing. Not all of them will last the whole episode, and we'll get to that. And I would like to discuss everyone's thoughts on that. Format violation starts right away, because instead of just a blank teaser trailer, we now have the narrator switching to Hype Man, actually talking us through the episode that's about to come. And one thing he promises us, somebody gonna die. Somebody dies in this one.
Yeah, it's quite a supercut.
One member of the team won't make it to the final hunt. And then, it seems to show Buck dying.
It seems to show Willie's shotgun going off into the air, and then him looking really scared, and then Buck falling to the ground.
Yeah, as if he accidentally shot Buck out of a tree, is what it strongly implies.
You can think of no other thing on watching that than, whoops, Willie's gun went off and he killed Buck.
Now,
the worst thing that can happen when your friend's in the tree above you.
You joke that they extended the hunt past the normal one weekend that they do. I don't know how long this shoot went on, but this feels like it had as much budget as the rest of the season combined, because this is, for context, this was the season finale of season 1 in the HBO Max order, but they shot for several days. They've got a bunch of other parts they cast. They've got multiple, we'll get to it, but they have multiple like props and prop work they did. It is a much bigger production.
Store-bought steaks.
It's a Buck dies. Willie shoots him in the back of the head.
They killed a man.
It's incredible. Normally we start out to see if the monster's real, but again, we did all of this. We're revisiting the Ohio Grassman, which was, if this is your first episode, that was one of our early episodes. I really do think it pays to go back and watch that one and then see, because they do a lot of callbacks and revisits like it's a true sequel. Trapper starts us off in the truck briefing by saying, "Last time, we just barely missed him."
And not true at all. They found him easily, and the Grassman just humiliated them over and over and over again. Just toyed with them, and they actually say that. I went back and watched episode 3, the original Grassman episode, and again they say, he's just toying with us.
Yeah.
So
he's stunting on us. Did he just dunk over you?
I can't imagine fucking something up worse than their first Ohio Grassman hunt. If I hadn't seen these idiots specifically lose a gunfight to pterodactyls without firing a single round, I'd say it was the worst monster hunt in the history of hillbillies. They fell down a couple times. They almost died while getting toyed with by a creature that does not exist. In my estimation, a leading monster hunt podcaster, they were not so close. Oh, we just barely missed him. That's this weird take.
For context for the listeners who have not memorized all of the previous Bigfeets episodes, the Grassman episode was episode 3, both of Mountain Monsters and of Bigfeets. And it was where a lot of tropes were born, like them going back to back with their shotguns when threatened, started here. And Buck falling down in a creek and then them saying that this was personal.
Yes.
Because Buck fell down in a creek, and they blamed that on the Grassman. A lot of things that would become staples of Mountain Monsters were born here, but it's not immediately clear to me from the start why of the previous however many, the previous 19 monsters they hunted, why they picked this as the one to do the big finale revisit on, unless they agree that was their most humiliating hunt. And they felt the need to redeem themselves. But if that's the case, it would be a crazy creative decision to fail again.
Yeah, there's no way they're leaving this one also just embarrassed with their pants literally around their ankles, pissing themselves while Bigfoot spanks them the entire time. There's no way that's going to happen.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
No, we're not. That's
fetish
spoilers.
Territory.
So my favorite part of this is Buck says, "I had to go look at that picture we got of the Grassman just to make sure it wasn't Huckleberry in a suit." It was Huckleberry in a suit. Why would you draw attention to that?
Was. This does kind of like let Jeff off the hook, though, if Buck is making fun of Huckleberry, because Jeff has nothing to do here since he already looked up the county on Wikipedia 20 episodes ago. His job is done. They're fighting the same monster. Jeff's only purpose has been, finished.
The CGI guy also got the day off. They just used once again, another just stock render. It looks like, as a reminder, pretty thick thighs. It looks like a Bigfoot woke up in a strip club dumpster. Just a real shaggy Bigfoot that's made some bad decisions and is just coming to really accept and reconcile with those. He's they say he's 8 to 10 feet, every bit of 1,000 pounds. I love it. Red, brown, shaggy fur, that's the big difference. So the huge difference, it's not that he's 1,000 pounds and 10 feet tall. It's that he's the only ginger Bigfoot, which makes him so much more wily. They do note, Trapper notes, he is no longer isolated in those Ohio hollers, where they determined in the Grassman episode that no man has ever set foot. They're more remote than the moon, these Ohio gullies.
The hollers lost the time.
So Bigfoot is now venturing out because the nut crop this year was bad.
How would he know?
He eats nuts?
Now they have fucking nut censuses in the uninhabited hollers? Nonsense.
Also, we're establishing right now that Bigfoot's diet is nuts. Why is it a big deal that he comes out? And they say, oh, it's because he's coming for the farmer's grains. Again, let him eat some nuts, man.
Yeah, give him
it's
the
one
nuts.
Bigfoot. Just in there shoveling acorns into his mouth like a squirrel.
I'm still, even after all these episodes, it's still hard for me to get on the default that Bigfoot is our enemy. I grew up with Bigfoot very rarely being the bad guy in TV shows or movies. He fought the $6 Million Man. Maybe that's it. Other than that, he'll pal around with families and teach you magic. And yet these guys just by default, they're going to fucking kill him. And now here they are saying, oh, he enjoys nuts. He doesn't have enough nuts. We've got to fucking kill him. I can't make that leap. I don't.
I I think you have to have some faith in the show because remember, in the last episode, The Bloodless Howler, they got the note that when they talk to witnesses, the witnesses need to be saying, hey, the creature came at me. In the Bloodless Howler episode, every witness was like, I emptied my gun into that thing and it didn't face him. I ran away and somehow got away. It's like, yes, that's what you need. So surely when they talk to the witnesses here, it's all going to be, yes, the Bigfoot. I watched the Bigfoot tear my daughter in half.
And not in the fun way, like you're thinking.
Oh, Jesus. We'll cut that, Jamie.
I said not in the fun way. Oh, wait, is it worse? It's worse. Jeff says, or Buck says, yeah, when is he gonna be in one of those houses? So, like, the theoretical.
He could go in somebody's house. An unwanted guest is the stakes we're dealing with. He's going to your cupboards. He's looking for the nuts.
He's gonna get your nuts. Bigfoot's coming for those nuts. Jeff gives us a throwback, says, Huck, I might need your foot to measure again. Have you trimmed your toenails? And then we throw back to Huck's fucking terrible withered witch foot. His foot, which has been cursed by a witch. Just for no reason, because it's fun, because we're doing callbacks, and it's wonderful.
But they don't pay this off. They don't need to do this. Its feet are bigger than Huckleberry's. We know this. But Jeff's like giggling through this, like, in a weird way where it's like, why? I wouldn't think this is sex fetish, but why are you doing this? He's like, oh no, are they going to be gross? Oh, Huckleberry. I hope they're not wet and unkempt. Oh no. Oh, Huckleberry. They don't land in my mouth, Huckleberry. Oh, so dirty.
God, you would die of tetanus, like, immediately.
Yeah.
There wouldn't even be time. It would just be the first case of instant tetanus.
I just want to reiterate that fighting the same monster twice makes Jeff twice as useless, and he was already 4 times the normal amount of useless.
Don't worry, it's gotta be. We've said this before, like, they are setting something up. There's no reason they would just set this up so that they dunk on Jeff every episode, and every episode gets worse. There's gonna be a redemption moment here for Jeff.
Right, he's gotta have an arc.
At the end of the big finale, everybody gets their moment.
If he just
I can't wait to find
pants
out what Jeff's is.
And complains about how he needs to change his pants, that would be crazy. Only a madman would put that in the show.
That's the one thing that's not going to happen. So we get to our first witness. Anybody write? I don't think I wrote down his name.
No, that would be a silly thing to take notes on.
Does anybody remember?
My friends call me Leg Man.
Leg Man.
So he killed a robot boss and took his powers. And
took his leg shield, shield of legs.
Yeah, if you defeat Leg Man,
now
you get leg.
Again, ask him why they call him Leg Man, and he has to say, well, my last name's Leggett, so all my friends are like, hey, Leg Man. But it was the last episode that it first time occurred to me that they are assigning the witnesses a nickname, and then when they arrive, they're making them do improv.
Yes.
It's like, so how'd you get that nickname? Because last week the last episode we had the guy who had the nickname Cornbread. And they had told him, okay, your name is Cornbread. And then they get up there. It's like, so why do people call you Cornbread? And the guy had no idea what to say. Cause like, well, you didn't tell me that. So it's like,
cornbread. I eat cornbread?
Like to eat cornbread. They're like, oh, all right. Well, that wasn't an interesting story. Let's leave it all in.
Yeah.
It all stays in the show.
It's a good point. This guy didn't come out and say like, yeah, it's based on how I hate tits. He goes, a guy I worked with said, hey, Leg Man.
Like, one guy called me a thing and I guess it's stuck. Like, that's gotta just be, that's on you, Trapper. When you give the prompt 3 times in a row and it eats shit into the dirt 3 times in a row, don't go for 4.
Yeah.
Man, don't ask. Stop asking.
Plus, I gotta say,
what a fun nickname. How'd you get that?
Leg Man's a bad witness. He doesn't have any headgear to identify him. Barely a beard. If it wasn't for like the orange shards of bone and wood he's using for teeth, you'd barely know he was a Mountain Monsters witness at all.
And the name Leg Man. I mean,
that's
a big giveaway.
But it's also like not his
name.
It's like
the
one coworker one time called him Leg Man.
And I just thought it was so cool. He's a coon hunter. He goes coon hunt. Well, he's a mechanic by trade, but he goes coon hunting with his hounds, which sounds fucking monstrous. Is that a thing? Don't do that, everybody. Don't do that. They're just little raccoons.
Yeah.
They're not. You don't need to go hunt them. You could just walk out and kick one, I guess.
Yeah, they'll come
it
in your
doesn't need to
yard
be a
if
pastime.
you leave your nuts out. That's probably why Bigfoot's so hungry. These damn raccoons stealing all his nuts.
So he heard the Grassman making this terrible, terrible noise, which he describes as a bellowing cow mixed with a freight train. And then they remember, the Ames team remembers, well, hold on, his house was near here. That's right. Again, if this is your first episode, in episode 3, they found Bigfoot's house. And when I say that, you're picturing me joking about a cave. No, it's a house. He lives in a house. They found it. They opened his door and went inside to his house and started wrecking up all of his shit, like his sofa. And Bigfoot came home and was like, fucking, what the fuck are you doing? And started slapping the walls. And they had to get out of Bigfoot's house, which again, they home invaded Bigfoot. So we're throwing back to that as though we could top that moment.
Well, I think it's worth noting they still call it a nest, even though it's a house. They still call it a Bigfoot nest.
He had a little pile of straw inside the house that they called that his nest, like that was his bed or whatever. But that episode established that when Bigfoot comes home to find the Ames team there, it acts exactly the way you would act if you found a raccoon in your kitchen. You start making noise to scare it away.
Right.
Like, yeah, get out of here, get. Like, and that's exactly what Bigfoot does. It starts banging on the wall, like, hey, get out of here. Like you're trying to scatter rats. And then the Ames team goes scurrying away and it works.
Like, Bigfoot thought the exact same thing. Like, I don't want to hurt that thing, but I really don't want it to touch me.
Right.
Like looking at Huckleberry. I don't want that thing to touch me. I just want it gone. So Legman has an audio recording, and here's another unbelievable format violation. They actually make a new sound effect for this recording.
It sounds exactly like he described it.
Yeah, it's exactly like he described. It's not like a lion roaring or some coyotes yipping or like a tea kettle going off. That's what they usually do. They usually say like, oh, well, he sounded just like a high-pitched lion, and then they'll play like a man laughing. You're like, fucking... Look, I know we don't have a lot of budget, but we can do better than this.
Yeah,
this is not spooky
sound effect number 8. It's a cow on a train mixed together.
Yeah, and like the guy said, he said it sounded like a cross between a cow bellowing and a freight train. Gave that note to the audio team, and the audio team for the first time like, all right.
That sounds like it rules. I'm going to do that. And they did a good job. It sounds exactly like that. It's loud, it's deep, it's kind of mechanical, it's crazy. And so they've set the team up now with just this great prop work for the first time ever. And Trapper leans in real close, like it's a private thing to say. He says, let me tell you what that is, Legman. He was trying to lure your dog in for a kill. He was emulating a dying raccoon's screams, just in a lot more decibels.
He's even smarter than we thought. What's crazy here is he says he can summon dogs using their favorite sound. Everyone knows, of course, 1,000 raccoons on a choo-choo train. But this is like the sign that they're like, he's learning. He's getting smarter.
That conclusion from that sound clip is madness.
Fucking insane.
Yes. That screeching cow over a freight train is like, he was trying to lure your dog in. Like, my dog would run so far away from that.
It's a furious Dinobot. It's not.
If he was,
there's nothing.
If he was really smart, he would have said in a human voice, "Come here, doggy. Dog food. Dog food." That's what a smart Grassman would do. The kind of Grassman I would fear.
But he made this terrifying noise to lure in dogs because that's what raccoons sound like. If that's what this show thinks raccoons sound like, I'm sorry, Legman. You're an American hero for hunting them. That's fucking terrifying.
He's trying to lure
Also, Legman mentions that he fears his family is in danger and that he has 7 granddaughters that come visit him all the time there. So please make a mental note, listeners. That is our stakes. If somehow they do not successfully kill or capture the Ohio Grassman, Legman's 7 granddaughters will be eaten by it.
Actually, bookmark this as your first set of stakes. Certainly remember it. There's going to be quite a bit more. But you need to remember them all. So, like, everything is truly on the line here in the finale.
The worst thing that could happen is if they just go into the woods, piss on themselves, and enrage the beast and leave. I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen.
Surely that won't happen.
Of course not.
There's
They're
no
the
way.
best.
There's no way that would.
Not the Ames team, guys.
Not when they're this fired up. So we're on to our first night investigation. They're back in what they call Moonshine Holler. They need to find out if Bigfoot is here in Moonshine Holler. First of all, you know that. You already found him here. Remember? It was
Right.
You were in his house. This is where his house is. You have his address. That's what you're looking at right now.
And the thing is, I personally have a theory as to why they wanted to come back to this episode, because if the listeners, the trap they did for this one was where it was pouring down rain, and right next to a river, they decided to dig a 12-foot deep pit that the Grassman would fall into.
Right.
And they dug it with they rented a backhoe. They dug it, and it immediately filled with water, and everyone on the team was shocked by this. Even though while he was digging it, it was actively filling with water. And so they kind of sat around it the next day looking incredibly sad and finally decided, well, now it's a quicksand trap. He falls in there, that mud, he's not going to be. And it was like 4 feet deep. It was the saddest. I want to say it was the saddest trap failure they've had. I realize that we could bitterly debate which of the trap failures is the saddest. But I do think that was probably the first episode where somebody on the team was like, man, maybe we shouldn't have sent this off to Destination America. Maybe we should have just scrapped this and shot a new one next weekend, because this did not work. Like, our trap is just a hole in the ground. But I love the idea when they having to come back to this area. I wish they would stumble across his old pit and find it just full of drowned animals. Because, of course, they didn't clean it up.
I think you bring up a good point, that this is their cope. Like, when, like, instead of like saying, "Oh, this sucks," they're like, "You know what? A wet pit is even better than a non-wet pit." And I feel like one of their biggest copes is when they get to the end of an episode and they say, "Well, at least we taught it fear. It'll never come back here again." But here, okay, so this episode, they have discovered that Bigfoot is still here, living in the same house. So, like, can you imagine if all the creatures they hunted just stayed where they were after they were hunted by the Ames team? Because that's the only thing they cling to in the ruin of their ambitions, that they get their ass kicked by a monster, but then they turn to the camera like, "Well, at least we taught him fear. He'll never come back." But they're finding out that they were wrong even about that. If the Grassman is anywhere near this old nest, it very much means these sloppy fucking morons have never done anything.
Yeah, that they should have just kept hunting him the first time. They should have
At the very least.
on Monday. Yeah.
It calls into question the ending of every episode of Mountain Monsters.
Right, it would. I agree. That would be ridiculous if that happened. I mean, there's no way to tell at this point of the podcast if that works out. Like, this, remember, this is a 2-part podcast, so we're not even going to find that out today. We won't even know. So they're going back to his house, and Trapper says, "Gonna take a big set of gonads to get back in that house." And Huckleberry says, "We might not have them when we come out." So I can't believe it, but Sean, you were right earlier. Bigfoot's gonna steal your nuts.
It's gonna get them nuts.
That's the first little bit of Chekhov's gun foreshadowing that they believe this Bigfoot is going to eat their balls.
So we'll have to see if that's how this episode ends. It's time to lock and load.
Metaphorically, yes.
Yeah, they gotta lock and load. Jeff cranks his thermal all the way up. Like, he's getting white hot readings from old leaves. He's just like, it's the most useless thermal camera.
Buck revisits those 6 inches of water that nearly killed him, and then like reflects on it like, "Oh, that old creek, you almost got me." It's 6 inches deep. It only got you because you couldn't stop rolling, because like the light current was rolling you like a beach ball.
There's a moment I love here of like where they ditch the improv, where they find some Bigfoot crap and they decide this is actually Bigfoot diarrhea. And then Trapper starts to say, "Well, I was hoping maybe we scared the shit out of him." And then he just bails on it. He's like, "No, that would be ridiculous. We haven't even done anything yet." But
Huckleberry agrees, like, "No, I don't think that's what happened."
Come on,
they have
Trapper.
a scientific consensus.
How'd
We
you even
did
get
not
the start of
scare
that
the shit
sentence out your mouth? Even in this fiction, we can't pretend we scared Bigfoot already.
Or ever. Well,
Right, yes.
Jeff has a triangular blob on the thermal that he's sure is a 10-foot, 1,000-pound ape man somehow.
Makes sense.
And they go to lock and load and go investigate him, and it cuts to Buck trying to look tough. So Buck goes to spit resolutely and doesn't make it as far as he thought he would, and he spits right on his own arm, and we see it. We watch it happen.
You should also mention that Jeff loses it on thermal. It's a 1,000-pound monster. He's like, Jeff goes, "Oh, it went to the right and it's gone." Like, you can't just move the camera with a 1,000-pound blob. Jeff.
So we go back to the Shine House where Bigfoot had his nest, and I'm going to be a little ridiculous here. Shine House? What, does Bigfoot make Bigfoot hooch here? Oh, I'm such a card. Let's remember how funny I am.
That would be
making
so
that
silly.
joke. So they find his nest again, and they determine by all the stale poop on the floor that he has not been using this nest, but he is definitely still in the area.
Right.
And that's when they hear a gunshot. And I think, does Bigfoot have a gun?
That's the conclusion.
No, that would be ridiculous. What a funny joke I'm making. Everybody remember my joke for later in the episode. Just to look back and laugh at.
Right.
No,
Just remember
it's a man. It's a man yelling from outside, and he says, "Who the fuck are you? What are you doing on my property?" Trapper immediately knows. He says, "Well, it's shiners, moonshiners. It's them shiners."
Before that, I apologize, but before that, Huckleberry shouts, "Guys, we're in a world of bleep now." And I think you know what was in place of the bleep. I like to think in that moment he shouted, "Yes, guys, we're in a world of cum now."
Yes, I think we're all in agreement. Wait, no, cum chuggers. I'm changing my answer to cum chuggers. Now there are moonshiners that are furious that all of these men have wandered onto their property to film their Bigfoot LARP. And this is another format violation. There are never any consequences for these hillbillies fucking around on someone's backyard. Like, that fucks up the whole show if you have to worry about that.
They're also all carrying guns. So they're intruders with guns. And the
they
bad
refuse
guys
to put them down.
Yeah, they're like, drop the guns. They're like, fuck you. You're like, okay, we're in an armed standoff now.
So Trapper tells them they're just here for the Grassman, and the moonshiner says, "Well, I know the Grassman." Like he's renting him this shack.
Right? That's not what we're talking about, though, sir. Well,
I know the Grassman. You can't say that. I know of? That's a very different
yada
statement.
the Bigfoot in this conversation. He's like, "Get off my property." Well, we're looking for Bigfoot. Yeah, of course you're looking for Bigfoot. I'm saying get off my property. Amazing.
Yeah, I know Bigfoot. This is his house. I rent it to him. Get out. Get out. So he makes them leave, but Huckleberry says,
Amazing.
"Yeah, I know Bigfoot." Something, Trapper.
The secret Bigfoot intel.
And by the way, no, he's not. That does not come back. Anyway, if this was a scripted show, that would turn out to later we'd find out what they're hiding. That they've got a secret Bigfoot. They have enslaved the Bigfeet to make moonshine for them. But no, that's not gonna. But also, the moonshiner puts his hand on the camera lens and shouts, "No cameras."
Yeah, they address the
violating
camera, very rare.
Yet another rule of the show, acknowledging that there's a cameraman there, because later in this very episode, there are going to be times where they should definitely be looking after the safety of their camera person that we've now established is with them and has a name and is a human being. But no.
No, of course not. So they determine from this interaction, actually, this must be an active moonshine shed again, and that's why Bigfoot isn't coming back here. Huckleberry says, "Trapper, they're cooking shine right where he lives. They had to run into him." as though it's happening simultaneously, as though they're in there cooking moonshine, and Bigfoot just opens the door and hangs his hat up and is like, "What the fuck?
They're
Come on."
bumping into each other.
It's at this point they're reflecting on being, chased out of there with guns. Buck says, "Man, we got it rough here. You're bleeding, Trapper. Jeff pissed himself." Buck, that's so mean. There's no way. Wait, he did. Jeff pissed himself.
He could have improv'd anything else, but he goes, I'm sorry, man. It scared me, okay?
his pants are wet. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
His pants are wet.
Yeah.
And
He
Buck
beat
is like,
himself.
oh, I understand. I'm not making fun of you. It is so weird. I can't. Do you think the actual person, Jeff, that he urinated in his pants, like, do you think they fired a shotgun outside, like a blank or something, as part of the production, and he actually peed himself? Well, I don't understand, because the way they play it off, it's legitimately like, it is so weird.
Yeah, they do all seem like they're having adrenaline rushes. Like, they're either suddenly good actors or they popped off a few rounds and they got their blood boiling. But Trapper tries to save this again with the cope, the magical cope of the show. He goes, I blame it on a weak bladder, Jeff, not fear. So, like, just to be clear, they were run off by humans.
Have you tried Gorilla Flow, Jeff?
They were run off by non-Bigfoots. One of them wet their pants, and the moral victory is we wet our pants for reasons unrelated to terror. We are brave boys, brave
For
pee-pee
medical
boys.
reasons.
Right,
For medical
reasons.
failures.
Our bodies are crumbling.
So Jeff, as they head out, they rally up and they head out, and Jeff, instead of keeping his fucking mouth shut, says, can we please go? I want to get some dry pants on. Jesus Christ, Jeff, have some fucking dignity.
I would have thought it was a bit, but he kept bringing it back up. It's just, he really peed himself.
There were
would
so
they
many outs.
Fake
You never had
that?
to draw attention to it.
If this was a planned, scripted moment, why? Why?
Except to continue humiliating Jeff
Yeah.
beyond all reason, episode after episode, with no redemption to come. Why are you still working on this show, Jeff?
I mean, this is the season finale. It has to come in this 2-part special, or otherwise, I mean, it's going to be
This
months
is not
before
only
the
the
next
season finale, this is the shift where everything changes. Where, like, we shift focus on monsters, we shift focus on format, we start doing longer things, more ambitious things. If anybody gets any kind of arc, it has to happen in this episode. And I'm just going to have faith in these storytellers that, of course, it will. I believe Jeff pissing himself will come back around. Like, maybe he'll outpiss a Bigfoot later. Just with, like, the volume and force of his flow, and it will shame him into submission. I don't know. I believe it's going to come back. For right now, we go to the Trap Shack. We go to Wild Bill and Willie's Crackhead Trap Shack.
Yeah.
This time, the whole...
I like, they always set it up that they have to give the new information to Willie and Wild Bill so they can build the trap based on the new intel. But here's the new intel they've gathered on the Ohio Grassman. Nothing and raccoon train sound. Other than that, this is the exact same creature.
Yes, no, they've determined no new information. Based on this nothing, Trapper says, we know he is going into homes and cabins now. No, the one thing you know is that he is not going into his own home anymore. It is -1 houses from what he was doing before. It's the only information we have. Wild Bill says, don't worry, I got an old Uncle Leroy, got a junkyard around here he used to use. And Wild Bill has no idea how to find his precious old Uncle Leroy's house, to the extent that I really thought this was going to be a bit. And I'll get to what I thought was going to happen when it happens. I'm pretty sure everybody had the same thought, because it really seems like they were setting this up as a gag.
This was crazy because Trapper says he's going to have to build they need to build a trap that kind of resembles being around a house or a cabin. And
yes,
this was like, yeah, because when they're hunting Hogzilla, it went into a truck, and we were all like, yeah, just fucking close the door on the truck. You got Hogzilla. And here they are, like, taking that note, and they're like, well, we could just use a house, lure Bigfoot into a house, and lock the door on Bigfoot. We don't have to build anything. We don't have to fucking build a log cabin every time.
Except they don't quite get that note.
Right.
They get a version of that note. As they arrive at Uncle Leroy's wild junkyard, they find that Uncle Leroy has been in prison this whole time and is missing. He's mysteriously gone. We draw attention to that several times. Where's Uncle Leroy? Why is there no Uncle Leroy? It would have been we'll just put a hat on Legman and put him in here. Nobody recognizes him with no hat. Like, it's fine. Wild Bill finds an old party van they used to hang out in with Uncle Leroy, which like you do. It doesn't sound great when you say it like that, but I think it's probably more wholesome than I'm making it sound and assuming.
Well, here's how it plays out. Wild Bill and Willie are alone in the old busted up moldy van, and Wild Bill says, "This sure brings back old memories, hanging out in this old van with old Uncle Leroy. Now, hanging out in the old party van. We used to hang out a bunch in this." And then Willie, in response to that, looks right at him and says, "I tell you what, I got a good idea."
And what's that good idea?
Well, he ruins it by saying we could refabricate this into a trap. But there's a moment where it's like,
Let's fuck in this van.
We could play Uncle Leroy. Anyway, I'm not implying anything like that. Edit all of that out.
Jason.
I just like it because Bill is so mad about Bigfoot going into people's homes. It's such a violation. And anyway, they break into Uncle Leroy's shed and trash yard and just start.
Yeah, if we've not made it clear, they try to knock on the door. Uncle Leroy doesn't come to the door, so they just circle around into his little scrapyard and start stealing stuff.
Yeah. They're just pipe yelling, pruner testing. They're just clowning around.
Not stuff. What they determine is Willie has an idea and he's going to make the entire van into a trap. This is the Bigfoot trap I'm going to say a very small van. This is an old 1970s style, very small van, way smaller than what you're picturing as a van right now. What we have.
You can't stand up in it.
No,
right.
You can't stand up in it.
But it will fit in with the van debris of the Perry County woods. Like Bigfoot will see it and be like, it's just another old abandoned party van.
This 10-foot tall,
1,000-pound
ginger monstrosity is not even going to fit in that van. But they're like, yeah, he'll love it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld the windows. I'm going to weld steel over the windows. We're going to put the normal van door on a spring. The end of trap.
Yeah. Wait, no, they put the metal grid. And I don't know if you saw this, but they put it on the coat hangers of the van. Like a rowdy third grader could knock that shit right off.
I'm telling you right now, I know how this ends. We know the monster gets away in every episode. Grassman is going to steal that van. He's just going to peel ass in that van and drive away. And they're going to be like, I didn't think of that.
God damn, that'd be it. That'd be so
I can't
funny.
believe, I just want to reiterate, they're just turning the van into a trap for Bigfoot. It's a Bigfoot trap van. I've obviously heard of Bigfoot trap vans. They mean a very different thing than they do in this one. It's still a crazy thing to do.
How broken am I as a Mountain Monsters viewer when I saw this and thought, finally, they have a good idea. Where I'm like, this is both better than all your other traps and faster to build. It's good job.
It is better than box on a stick. They did resort to box on a stick just a couple episodes ago, so it's a step
wet
up.
ditch. Wet ditch was their first idea to catch the Ohio Grassman.
That's true. They're really graduating. Just goddamn it. So our second witnesses are Bernie and Linda, listed as landowners. Linda has a camo cap that looks like it's actual photos of sticks, which I find ambitious, and horn rim glasses, because she's an intellectual.
Mm-hmm.
Bernie, I didn't catch it fully. I think he's in matching camo, which is real cute if true.
Did he have a line? Did Bernie say anything?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think he just all shucksed his way through it.
Yeah, he was just an all shucks prop. Because he thought she was crazy.
Did.
She's like, hey, I saw Bigfoot. And he's like, this fucking old bat.
So she says she saw Bigfoot wandering around her house. Again, not like pounding on her windows, busting into her house and stealing all of her peanut butter. He just kind of walked around the windows and she got a video of him.
Mm-hmm.
And
Very convincing.
I think this is, again, like the cave creature episode. I think this was filmed out of order. I think this is why they were all so sure in the trap section. Trapper's like, we know he goes in homes. You didn't know that for shit until this. But it's always in this order. You always do the investigation, the trap shack, and then the witness, the second witness. I don't know how they could fuck that up, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Because now is our first evidence that he is actually going near people's houses. Still, very specifically, no threats have been posed.
Yeah, not only that, he had every opportunity to go into their house. He walked right past it. He pointedly did not try to enter a home that was full of food. People lived there. He surely can smell it. He walked right past the window. Like, if anything, it's evidence that he has no interest in coming into the house, which this is what is so weird that they went backward on this, because for the effort they put in this episode, and for Mountain Monsters, this is freaking Avatar. You could like one of those old houses they're going to shoot around. They're going to shoot around a desiccated old cabin later. Bash in the door.
Sure.
Say, I woke up in the middle of the night, or we left the cabin to go hunting for the day. We came back. Look at what we found. Look at the claw marks. The door had been bashed in. Our kitchen had been ransacked. If we
some
had
extra
been
large
home,
candy bar wrappers on the ground, like extra large, a bit larger than a human would eat.
if we had been home, think what would it would not have been difficult to fake that.
Yeah.
And instead they get this. She has the story of like, I heard a noise, so I grabbed the camcorder, as if this is 1993 when this happened and not the iPhone era.
Yeah, she had an American flag MacBook, just to like let you know, like this is a woman who's been to the Mac store and doesn't have a smartphone.
Who buys custom decals for her Mac?
Right.
Like
that's how comfortable
hacker
she is.
stickers on it.
It's the horn rim glasses. I told you, she's an intellectual. That's how you can tell. In her video, which I want to say is maybe the most audacious video since like the Fire Dragon, where they CGI'd an iguana into the woods.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely have Huckleberry put on that Bigfoot costume and walk past an artificially blurry window. Like, it sucks, but it's a thing. A thing actually did move past there. It's not a shack cut out on a remote control car. Like, it's a guy in the costume, which is a lot. It's a lot for them. So they go outside, and Jeff wants to measure the window to determine its height. And he says 9'6", exactly within the range they gave at the start. And still, every single one of them are, my God, that's way bigger than we ever assumed.
Yeah, it's the exact same size he was last time, by the way.
And then Buck says, with that information in mind, Buck says something completely fucking insane. Buck says, he's getting bigger, smarter, and a lot more bold. He's getting bigger?
He's getting bigger.
You filmed that. You know you filmed that, right?
And also, if anybody actually listening to this, those of you who actually do watch the episodes, the blurry shape moving past the window, the fact that they were able to go outside and measure him to the inch based on that blurry shape going past the window is also pretty spectacular. Like, that makes so many assumptions about exactly how long his forearms are and how high his shoulder is compared to his elbow and how tall his head is.
Okay, but in the first Grassman episode, he had Huckleberry put his foot on the ground and drew a box around it and said, that's about a Bigfoot. So this definitely beats Huckleberry foot box science, for sure.
A Bigfoot will grow into its environment like a goldfish. So it's getting bigger, and it's getting a lot more bold. Trapper decides this means it could kill somebody. They're like, well, if he's a couple inches taller, that means he could kill someone.
That's finally, he has the height he needs. No longer is he 9'6". Now he's 9'6". So let's check back in on the Trap Shack. They are, Wild Bill and Willie are tearing apart.
They're stripping and stealing a van. That's all they're doing. It's just two guys stealing a fucking van. Willie is so weirdly playful in this scene. Like, there's something about stealing a van has him just super goofy. I don't know. Normally he sort of tolerates Wild Bill, but here he is just clowning.
He holds up a rotten piece of van panel wood, tells Wild Bill, this is Grassman ass. This is the Grassman's ass right here. And Wild Bill, loving that he's finally playing with him, sidekicks it and screams, Revengeance!
And Wild Bill says,
horseplay.
We used to call Uncle Leroy the old grass man before a completely different reason. Good line. That's a great line.
Pretty good line.
That's pretty good.
Then he climbs in and he starts punching the windows and he yells, Grassman approved, brother!
Give it the old Marine test, brother.
Is it Grassman approved? I don't think that's who would be approving that.
Yeah, they don't show it. That he goes in and he kind of rattles around in the van, because honestly, if a tiny child or higher were to smash into those crossbars, they're popping off. And so
here's where I'm sure you guys thought the same thing. Here's where I thought this was going, this bit. Right, we arrive at Uncle Leroy's junkyard. Wild Bill is the whole time they drive there. He's like, I don't know, is it a left here? And Willie's like, it's a right, I think. And so they finally, and then he settles in, they find an address, and Wild Bill goes like, oh, yeah, that's it. And they go up, and they knock, and there's nobody there. And he's like, well, Uncle Leroy's in prison a lot. Let's just go. And so they start bashing this van to shit and stealing it. I absolutely thought somebody was going to come home, like a woman was going to come home and be like, who the fuck is Leroy? Get out of my house. Like, how is this not set up for that? That's not what happens.
They already did that bit with the Moonshiners, but I agree. Like, I felt like that had to happen. The fact that Leroy at no point ever appears in the episode is
so
such
weird.
They're not done with this
letdown.
bit, but we can spoil that it's not going anywhere. But they're not done with it. They're going to come back to it.
But it doesn't go anywhere. There's no reason for it. There's no reason why Uncle Leroy is gone. You just put a guy there.
Yeah, or not said anything. Just said, hey, we know a good spot that's got some...
Yeah, they have many times.
Yeah, they've done many times. Yeah, they never explain. They're always just stealing some barn full of stuff. And it's always like, yeah, well, we've been given permission from... Like, all right, whatever.
I thought they were going to have to, like, hightail it out of there with somebody else shooting at them, like an old prospector. Give me back my van. I was going to get married in that. So
we'll bring it back with a Bigfoot in it. All right, y'all.
All right, that's who I was going to marry. So we go to our third witness. His name is Patrick. He's a landowner again, which sucks. You can't.
Yeah.
This is like your time to shine. This is one of your joke spots where you get to say fucking coon hunter and some shit. You can't call two people in an episode landowners. If that's the default, what the fuck? What are we even doing here?
Uninspired. Everybody's a landlord in these woods.
However, Patrick did steal all of Legman's identifying headgear from the prop box. That is what
every witness in this episode. We have complained that they did not have identifying features. They put them all on Patrick.
And you know what? Right move. He's got a big floppy earmuff cap, tiny John Lennon glasses, and a huge, flowing, conditioned, shiny handlebar mustache from heaven. My God, I could just grab those handlebars and ride all night long.
Horsetails of hair growing from each nostril.
The flaps on his head are down in comical cartoon fashion. He is spectacular. He is serving, as the kids would say.
Yes, he is. It was the correct call.
Mountain Monster witness.
Get it. You get why nobody else could have a prop. So he heard the Grassman one night, and his wife got so scared she won't come back until the Grassman is dead.
Right.
So that's our second set of stakes.
That's why his wife left him. Because of Bigfoot.
That's why. So that's the second set of stakes.
She had a ham. To be clear, Bigfoot was attracted to his wife's ham.
It's the place they're living in is a cabin that he says is from the 1700s. It's clearly not a thing anybody can live in. It's tiny, and Trapper makes the joke, well, if you got many grandkids, you have to stack them in there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's somebody's it's an old building on somebody's property because like hell you're coming to my real house.
Yeah.
Like hell. You come to my old weird barn that I haven't torn down. So anyway, these are our stakes, our second set. We are doing it for all of Legman's grandchildren. We're doing it for the love of Patrick's life. Like, we are escalating here. Huckleberry, like Sean said, Huckleberry says, was you cooking anything before you seen it? Which is a fucking crazy thing to say out of the blue. Like, you gotta segue that one better. But Patrick says, why, yes, actually, my wife had a ham going. And for this moment, as soon as he says that, they cut to Jeff, thoughtfully considering, and I was like, holy shit, is this a callback to Jeff's pocket ham? Are we setting up Jeff's pocket ham saving the day? I'm not going to spoil it. I just want to say that would have been beautiful.
Yeah.
So as Patrick said, I had my telephone with me and I started running video evidence. Great job, Patrick.
Yeah, that's how people say it, Patrick.
That's how people talk about things.
I opened my video evidence application file.
So he just has a blurry silhouette. It is a shack on a remote control car. I'm sorry for spoiling that earlier.
It's a very, very motionless Bigfoot. He's standing very still, undeniable proof. I would not call it an attack. Even even this guy's dramatic ham wife wouldn't call this an attack. This is
a cardboard cutout.
He pointedly says that as soon as he noticed the Grassman, it ran away.
Yes,
Yeah.
so, extremely fast.
Up to this point, it is behaving exactly like a deer. It will come and eat corn or whatever you've got if it finds food, but if you startle it, it just runs away. So we have made it so far into this episode, it has never attacked a person. It's never even eaten meat. They haven't even gotten their bag of bleached animal bones to throw around its nest. It's like, it's become a meat eater. It's got a taste for flesh now. They haven't even done that.
They specifically did the opposite of that at the start of this episode when they said it was a bad nut crop, so he's out here looking for nuts. And then everything they've done since is prove that he's out here looking for nuts.
Right. So it looks like a ram man. It eats like a chipmunk, and it behaves like a deer. And they're going to fucking kill it.
If we don't kill this thing, it's going to eat $12, $13 worth of nuts.
It might even smell a ham. That's her ham scent. That's precious to a lady in these woods.
You tore my marriage apart, Bigfoot!
It's going to eat our balls.
It's going to eat all our gonads. So we go back to check in at the Trap Shack, the party van.
On. There was a part where he's like, let me show you where I took the video. And he leads them, I swear to God, 11 feet to the left. He's like, come with me.
Wood pile.
And they like just sort of... They like shifted their weight a little.
What they do so often there is they cut away, like when he was looking at that junkyard, when they went to that guy's house, and he's like, well, I'll take you to the junkyard that's on the other side of my yard. They at least did a cut, so you'd be like, I imagine that was quite a journey. They did not cut. They just followed him over there.
Walked right over there.
Okay. So we cut to the Trap Shack. The party van is ready to go. Wild Bill leaves the still missing Uncle Leroy a note. You should go rescue Uncle Leroy. This is a problem right now.
That'd be a great B-plot.
The most childish scrawl I've ever seen, and that's coming from Wild Bill. He writes the whole thing like a Hillbilly Prince song. He says, Uncle Leroy with the Y capitalized and scratched in 3 times. You favorite Neff space letter U. You favorite nephew. Wild Bill extra fancy double underline. Took party van. Talk Cratch gas man. Bring back with slight modification. Your nephew. Wild Bill extra fancy no underline. Learn to fucking... Somebody teach him to read.
That.
It's been so long.
I love that he writes nephew like it's a university. Like, that just kind of cracked me up. You just took your van to catch Bigfoot. Haven't spoken in several years.
Gonna bring it back, slightly modified, so a Bigfoot can live in it, because that's your problem now.
And then he says, of the Grassman, he's going to get trapped in that old party van. Kind of makes me jealous.
Getting trapped in a party van is Wild Bill's greatest aspiration.
So he calls it the Grassman party van, which I think is probably not the first time it's been called that. And says, Trapper says, it comes up and like to inspect their trap, because this is that stage of the episode where like he's left them on their own to go figure out using their ingenuity which kind of box goes on what stick. And he comes back to tell them what a perfect trap. He always says, what a perfect, you guys are geniuses. This time he looks at a normal van and says, all right, you're going to have to do some explaining.
This is spectacular because they break the format for the first time. He is always so over-the-top complimentary, no matter how incredibly sad the trap is. He always is there to like, this time it captures his plain disappointment.
Like, you just put a spring on a van?
You have to do a little explaining to me. Because he's like,
you're going to paint me the word picture on this one.
And it's like, there's really nothing to explain. It's a fucking van.
Right. They don't have anything to explain. They explain, he goes in the van, can't get out.
Gently closes if somebody goes inside. Triple trigger setup.
There are a few less traps than an actual van. Like 2 less traps than your average van we put in here.
Yeah, Leroy's going to see 3 traps. He's like, why'd you take out 11 of my traps?
They decide, Trapper in the next insane move says, okay, we know he's coming around these human houses. Apparently based on the fact that we think he might have smelled a ham once, He eats human food.
Got it.
More than that, straight from the grocery store, still in the plastic, human food. I'm going to come out here. I bought a steak. I bought some ribs. I bought a bowl of nice fresh fruit. And I'm going to let him unwrap them.
And fruit. Yeah, that should work. Trick Van versus Bigfoot. Van wins every time.
Based on absolutely nothing. And that's what we're doing. We've laid the groundwork for our final night hunt.
I just got to say that of all the things these guys do, baiting traps might be the dumbest. Like, they take the meat, juice, and blood and just, like, pour it everywhere as if, like, oh, yeah, Bigfoot will love this. Remember, most of the time, they just, like, pee on a bunch of stuff or take, like, some old organs and let them rot. And they're like, this creature who loves fresh blood will love these old entrails. Like, they just... I don't know.
You established he eats nuts. That's the entire thing you said at the start of this episode. It's maybe the only thing you've established.
It's funny.
That Bigfoot wants nuts.
Because I feel like several episodes ago, they did get the note, okay, we need a bait that is specific to this creature. For example, the bloodless howler, it's like, okay, it's a bloodsucker, a big bucket of blood. But they, the whole question of, well, what's to keep coyotes or any other animals from smelling this and getting trapped in the van? Like, even if you don't care about their welfare, it ruins your trap. It's now closed because a raccoon went in there and hit the tripwire. Where here, the fact that they specifically put people food in there, if there's just a homeless guy, trying to get out of the cold and sees a van, he's trying to get out of the sleet and the snow, and like, oh, there's food in here, and then now he's trapped in there.
and hence, the party van continues. That's how the party van gets its occupants. It's always been a trap. We're gearing up for the final night hunt. Here's another format violation. They're about to get going. They just straight up get a call from some guy that's like, hey, Grassman's here. He's outside. He's in my barn.
This is such a better way to hunt monsters. You make yourself available as like a monster emergency response team, and you just have people call you when they see a monster.
Yeah.
You save so much time.
Barns already exist.
Right.
So,
my God.
There's
the
your
budget
trap.
we're going to save. $120 per season. So they all roll out to the farmer's house now. It's nowhere near their trap. We've abandoned the trap entirely. This was all for nothing. I'm assuming because Trapper came and saw that they just made a van. It was like, okay, well, we got to think of something else. I'm going to get a call that the Grassman is across town because I'm not doing the van thing. Trapper, they get to the barns. The farmer has fled already, so there's nobody to tell them. They find out that there are actually 3 barns, so they're going to have to search all 3. Trapper warns the team as they split up. If that sumbitch charges on you, you shoot in the air. I do not want him shot. I do not want him hurt, like under any circumstances.
I'm very confused by this.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Because what are they there to do? They don't have a trap to chase him toward. They don't have any. What are they there to do? They're not going to shoot it.
What are you going to do?
They don't have any. They don't have a net. They don't have tranquilizers. They're not there to document that it exists. They have video. They know it exists. That's not their mission. What are they trying to accomplish specifically in the scene? I'm not asking a rhetorical question. I'm honestly trying to figure out what they wanted us to think they were doing.
It feels like that. They want us to think that they're investigators at this point. Like they're out to prove Bigfoot somehow. They call it the freshest lead they've ever had. But I would argue it's not. Like they've bumped into every single monster they've ever hunted within 2 seconds in 20 counties. Every step they take isn't a steaming fresh poop from a devil dog or a Mothman. Like they know monsters exist. They know this specific monster exists. It's just weird.
Yeah, because they don't have a camera. And you're going to say, well, they've got the camera that's filming the show, but they act like that's not. When they review their evidence, like at the end of the episode, like for example, they had a couple episodes where they put a trail camera by the trap to try to catch it. They never go back to the cameraman that is following them around and say, hey, Bobby, roll back the video from 2 hours ago and let's see if you got a good glimpse. They never treat that as existing. If they're going to catch it on camera, it's always a separate camera that's visible from, they always treat like it's a God's eye view of the situation. So if one of them had a camera out, and like Jeff, instead of his thermal, if he had like a night vision camera, it's like, hey, okay, I'm here to get I'll get good footage if he's in here. They don't even do that. It's really strange.
I have a theory. I think this is the show telling us, based on a few cues through this episode, that Trapper has been compromised by either Grassman hypnosis
Okay.
or some kind of Grassman honeypot. That sounds a little outlandish. Remember, in a previous episode, he did imply he's fucked some Bigfeet.
That's
this
true.
is a history. This is a history thing for him. I
like,
think we're here for a different reason.
What's funny to me here is they get there and they are kind of treating it differently. Like they're really whispering. Normally they get to the hunt like, all right, we got to be real quiet tonight. But here they're like, okay, guys, this is fucking crazy. And they form a pretty good plan. They split up and they do, I don't know what you'd call it. Maybe a pincer. I guess you could call it like something like a pincer. And Jeff, they do a testimony where he's in like a sheer panic. He's like, I didn't know there'd be this many barns. There's like 3 or 4 barns. No, nobody knows where we are. We aren't ready. We're going to die. I didn't bring my backup pants. I've already peed a couple of times. But it's funny. When I think about the testimonials, because the testimonials are not done in whisper. So they go from like, guys, we got to fight the Bigfoot to like, all right, we go. Which mama dare we ain't know which barn the Grassman's hiding in. We got to check them all. But they're, because again, we know that these testimonials do not take place at a different time and place. Like they film the little whispers and then they walk over to some other place and speak directly into camera. So that's what we're dealing with.
There's also an adorable little moment where one of them, I think it's Billy, goes in and they're doing that thing because they're infiltrating these barns and they're doing it like a cop show, or like a a military drama. They're like going in and Buck, I think somebody says like clear the corners. It's something he heard in the cop show. Like you in a room, you check to make sure there's no bad guys. I love that in the context he's literally saying, clear the corners for any Sasquatches.
And they are in a full kind of panic here, and they really sell that by like something makes a noise, and like Buck spins and points his shotgun right at the cameraman's face, just right at the cameraman.
Yeah, it's
and then he's
scary.
like, "Oh no, it's just the wind." Okay, well you just killed that man. You killed that man because of the wind. Willie starts climbing a hay bale and he panics and he whips out his shotgun. Buck goes, "Easy, it's just a cat." Like where everyone's on edge here. And then there's something underneath them.
What?
Where they weren't looking. So Willie goes over and he finds a hole in the floor and he thinks he's going to get like a little spy cam shot through it. He's going to go down. He's going to check out what's underneath there. And he leans down. He puts his gun through it. And the Grassman steals his gun.
Now, hold on. Yes, Bigfoot has a gun and I want you to just, I know it's hard to pause here, but I was so frustrated by this because he like gently rests his gun in the hole and he's like, I'm just going to casually poke my gun in the hole and, where that Bigfoot is standing, like we know he's right there. Now I'm just going to kind of turn my head and look at something grabbed my gun. And I was so offended.
I don't know how you're questioning this. Bigfoot has a shotgun, Sean.
Yes,
I understand
that.
There's no time to assign blame.
I'm saying I was so frustrated by how dumb this was and how little respect they had for me as the viewer that I put aside my panic that Bigfoot has a gun to just get frustrated at this performance. Just his performance choices.
This was so artful.
That you would poke your gun into a hole where the Bigfoot is, where you know he's standing, where you might touch him on the head with your gun, and then forget you're doing that and like look over to the other side and start a second conversation just so you can be surprised by your gun being pulled out of your hand. Frustrating.
It's beautiful, it's artful, it's necessary. Maybe it doesn't hold up logically, but it's art, Sean.
Let me put it another way. This is like when I'm at the YMCA and I'm using the urinal hole and suddenly there's all these things grabbing me and I'm like, what? Bigfoot?
Okay, that makes sense. That checks out. No, they did this earlier when you thought Bigfoot had a gun and it was just the moonshiner. They were setting you up for a Chekhov's Bigfoot shotgun. Classic right. Chekhov's Bigfoot shotgun.
Yes.
This was all worth it because after this, as soon as Bigfoot absolutely voops that shotgun into that hole. It just disappears like a cartoon.
Hilarious.
And then they cut to a single real brief close-up of Willie making a face that can only be, whoops, Bigfoot took my gun.
You can't be worse at anything than these guys are at hunting Bigfoot.
That fucking face.
He handed Bigfoot a gun through a hole.
I know they're not great actors, but he sells like I'm thinking of all the implications of Bigfoot with a shotgun right now. He sells that. That's what's going on.
And then after demonstrating no one has worse weapon discipline in the world, Bill says, "Here, Willie, take my weapon." Because I guess he's a Marine. He's a living weapon already. He completed basic
He's
training.
always got a knife.
15 years ago, 50 years ago. It's hard to tell how old he is. I'm certain he looks bad for his age, but I do think he knows how to kill.
So this scene, I'll tell you how this scene should have ended. And that's with Willie giving that amazing look to the camera of like, uh-oh, all the possibilities are running through my head. And then Bigfoot just fucking unloads through that floor, just blowing it up John Wick style, just like the scene in Tremors, just exploding it while they dive for cover. Like that's how this scene should have ended.
Yeah.
No, they just leave and they circle around to the bottom of the barn to try to go find Bigfoot now that he has a gun. Don't find him. You don't find that Bigfoot now that he has a gun. It's your only advantage. So Wild Bill gives Willie his gun and he brings out his knife. So now he brought a knife to a Bigfoot gunfight is what Wild Bill did.
And when Wild Bill takes a knife out, he does what he always does when he has a knife out. He starts fantasizing about knife murder.
He starts playing around. So they get into the basement. Buck says, if he's this close, I'm going to shoot him. And Willie says, Trapper told us not to shoot him, Buck. And Wild Bill says, he never said nothing about cutting him. Like he works off of Air Bud rules. Like unless you forbid cutting up on something, he's going to cut it open. Willie, with all of this impatience, just says, Bill, just like a mother on her last nerve. And to which Wild Bill savagely whispers, I'll cut him long, deep, and wide, and continuously.
I'll cut him long, deep, and wide, and continuously.
Sean, can we get your read on that?
I'll cut him long, deep, wide, and continuously.
And Willie specifically says the phrase, hey, Trapper said we are taking him alive.
Yes!
How? Taking him within handcuffs? What? Serious question. What are you visualizing? Anyone who's listening to this, when you close your eyes, how do you visualize these men taking the Grassman, who, by the way, has a loaded shotgun now? How do you visualize them taking him alive?
They don't even bring zip ties. Like there's nothing you could do except for like walk him out. Undercover. Like, you have to make him put up his hands, understand what guns are, and then just walk out of his own volition.
A knife and an increasingly smaller supply of guns.
So they immediately find Willie's shotgun, which is so heartbreaking. This had so much potential. If only, just don't acknowledge it. The shotgun's gone. We don't know. Maybe he ate it. I don't give a shit. Bigfoot might have a gun. It changes the whole tone of the episode. But no, Willie gets his gun back. Wild Bill says, I saw him booking ass out of the barn. He's taller than Wilt Chamberlain.
Willie also checks the shotgun to make sure that it's still loaded and confirms it's still loaded.
Yeah.
So the Grassman did not unload the weapon.
Did not unrack them rounds. Didn't disassemble it.
I like that he kind of checks the muzzle too, just to make sure, like, it's clean. It's still going to fire.
With his, with how does he does that?
With his thumb, I think, or
with
his finger.
Thumb.
Yeah.
Yep.
The way you do it. God, the gun safety on this show. It must be driving you crazy, Jason. They are just spraying that gun across people's faces. Cameramen jamming their fingers into the barrels.
In it like fucking Bugs Bunny. Like, just incredible. I like that Wild Bill specifically calls out that Bigfoot is a basketball player height, proving all of our Shaq theorization completely sound.
The best way to measure monsters.
Yeah.
He says it like it's a curse, though. He's not. There's no whimsy. He's like, that thing's taller than Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah,
like it's.
They got
like
that note.
The
They got the
worst thing a
Pargin
person
note out of
can be.
No, that's a Sean Baby note at a time.
Yeah,
Shaq.
that's one of mine.
Buck trips onto a folding chair and he's down. He's real hurt. The greatest danger, once again, to these men is walking around in the dark.
Yeah.
They should not be allowed to do that.
It is seriously a pro wrestling move, only there's no other wrestler. He took a chair to the face unaided. There was no...
That's solo act in my one-man wrestling show.
And Huckleberry's still trying to like sell this as a dangerous situation by saying, we've never been here. We don't know this farm. Like this is just unknown terrain. And there's a half inch of snow forming on the ground. Like there will never be a better environment for following Bigfoot tracks. If this was a Bigfoot hunting video game, this is the tutorial level. And all they're doing is complaining they've never been to this farm. Like who gives a shit? It's a few barns separated by ground. Fucking stop talking about it like you landed on a lava planet. Like,
Can we pause the raid? I didn't know there'd be a second pump house. I need to go back to my vault and get my farm armor and my barn defense flasks.
stupid.
It's like they're acting like they were out there camping and were attacked by a Grassman, rather than that they traveled there from out of state specifically to find it. This is the only reason they came, is to do what they're doing, and they're acting like, oh, this is a disaster.
We didn't know there'd be a
You
farm
can leave
or
if
barns.
it's a disaster.
This shit's crazy. What? You guys ever seen a structure like this? With the
He specifically
door?
wants nuts. You could just leave, or you could put out a bag of nuts. And this whole episode, that's how you could settle the entire plot of this episode, is one missing bag of nuts. Just
They didn't, like they could just do an
Unshelled
ET. Yeah,
peanuts.
lure him to a friendly location with a bunch of nuts and say, we're your friends, Bigfoot. Here's a bag of nuts.
We got a fucking party van. You're gonna love it.
Fly through the
So
sky
while
on
Bill and Willie split up,
bicycles.
Buck is going the other way to corner Bigfoot, which, now that we know he's unarmed, does not seem sporting. Buck is coming in the door on the other side of the barn as Wild Bill and Willie kind of drive him out. And Grassman panics and he sprints out the door and opens the door real hard into Buck.
And the cameraman.
And the cameraman. That's how Buck gets injured. That's the big injury they're teasing. Bigfoot
Right.
opened a door into him. I want you to imagine going on a Bigfoot hunt. Like you tell your friends, yeah, I just went on a Bigfoot hunt. I just got out of the hospital. I got really hurt. And they're like, oh my God, what happened? You're like, yeah, Bigfoot opened a door too hard and hit me with the door.
Now,
Nobody is impressed by that.
I have a question now, because a few minutes earlier, Buck, like this is a beat that repeats itself, because Buck fell and hit his head on a folding chair, and then this happened. Was Buck trying to improvise the injury earlier, and they just, because he laid down for a while, like, ugh.
That's a good point.
Was he
I
trying
think
to
that
do
was real.
You think that he just fell and hit the chair, and that had?
I think he hurt himself really bad on the chair, and they're like, well, that can't be it. We can't.
Right.
So, Buck, you got to go walk over. We're going to pretend like Bigfoot opened a door into you, like he's a clumsy guy in an office comedy. And that's how you're getting out of this.
I want to set it up more because they go to the building and they can't find the door, and so they do they split up and they do, I guess I don't know what you'd call it, a pincer, and Buck is going so slow that he got lost going around the square building, and so Willie and Wild Bill go in and they have 5 minutes to look around for Bigfoot, and Bigfoot is fully invisible. He's right in front of them, knocking over crates and escaping without being seen by them or the cameraman. And then Buck is still so slow that he's outside the door after all of this has happened, and then he gets, gently trampled by Bigfoot.
No, Bigfoot opens a door into him. We got to be real specific with this. 'cause
Okay.
Even that's more
Trampled is too
interesting.
strong a word. Gently trampled.
Yes.
But again, this is 1.5 shacks, and it is getting stealth kills. I don't know. He's just completely OP. Is my point.
To be fair, he's getting stealth kills on Buck.
Yes. I love that they did something here where the camera was fading in and out on Buck, like it had a concussion.
The camera went to the ground. Because you mentioned that they opened into the cameraman too. They have a Buck POV shot of the camera going to the ground, again implying realistically that their camera guy got knocked over by Buck and they both went down. But there's obviously no moment where they're like, oh, Johnny, the cameraman, go check on him too. They both went down. No, they just did like a weird artistic choice of like for the moment the camera could see through Buck's eyes or something.
Yeah, it was a Buck cam. It was a Buck POV.
I also, I know a lot of people watch the shows, but there's a moment here I need you to understand where Buck, before he opens the door, he stops very carefully at it, turns away from it and looks at the wall that he just passed, almost as if he knows it's coming and wants to take it on his side rather than square in his face. It's kind of the same performance energy Willie brought to the shotgun getting snatched. Really low energy 4-year-olds playing WWF, I think is what we can describe it as.
Covering for a chair wound.
Yes. And for like the props, they cover him in, I couldn't tell if it was Gatorade or sweet and sour sauce, but I'd be surprised if it wasn't one of those two things.
And it's just kind of glooped on his cheek. They just kind of gloop some.
Just kind of smear a little something because this is in black and white night vision. So he's gotta be escorted out of there. He's too hurt to continue. Bigfoot really opened the door onto him like Hugh Grant in a rom-com. Just knocked his ass right out.
A little meat cute.
Yeah.
Buck was completely taken out by a critical hit during a meet cute.
Destroyed by a Bigfoot meet cute. Huckleberry is reflecting on now that his little buddy is hurt, he says, I'm really pissed off. I want this swamp-ass sumbitch so bad I can taste him. Surely. There's a better way to say that.
I want this well-hung, beautiful thing down my throat so I can suck him tonight.
I want to taste the Bigfoot swampy ass. I mean...
Yeah. I got this. I want to finger him until his wife's ham... No. Start again.
So they all settle up and reflect, now, okay, truly, this has become personal. This late in the episode.
Finally.
So
to be fair, they've never been hospitalized by monsters. This is as personal as it's probably ever been.
It has. Intentional or no. We are, for listeners at home, we're a little over 43 minutes into the episode. And that tracks. For a Mountain Monsters episode, we are right on track to end a normal episode. He opened the door real fast. That's how he got away. He ran out.
Yep.
They can't chase him because Buck is hurt. They have to attend to take care of their crew member. Safety first, always. All we have to do to wrap this whole thing up neatly is we move the goalposts a little bit. Say, well, we were only ever here to prove Grassman exists again. You got to prove it twice
right.
For science. You got to repeat your results. And then we try out 3-4 too many punchlines to what's not really a joke. Then we cut to credits. No animal was harmed or even hunted. Boom, we're out. But no, I scrolled down to my play bar, and there is 45 minutes left in this episode. This is the final night hunt. Bigfoot's gotten away. A crew member is down. There is an entire episode left in this episode. The fuck could possibly happen to justify that runtime? Find out next time only on BIGFEETS! And I guess the show Mountain Monsters. I don't know. We're doing a part 2. We're going to come back. We're gonna take the intermission they give us, and we're going to tell you how everything goes completely off the rails, even for a show as fucking bonkers as this next time. But for today, I think we've got to choose our favorite quotes. How about Jason first?
I hate to do one we just recently discussed because I do want to say I want this swamp-ass son of a bitch so bad I can taste him. That probably was the quote of the episode, but we just discussed it. So instead I'm going to go with the very simple, Jeff pissed himself.
That's the quote of the episode, is Buck throwing that out. That's fucking wild. All right, Sean.
Let's see if Jason picked Jeff pissed himself, then I'm going to pick I'm sorry, man. It scared me, okay?
I hate to break the theme, but mine is Buck. At the moment after Willie got his gun stolen by the Grassman, Buck looks at the camera and really very simply says, the Grassman took his gun. What a fucking sentence to deliver.
Oh, I love it.
You had to be a Bigfoot teacher. You had to open up your mouth. You had to be a Bigfoot teacher. All your friends were so knocked out. You had to have the last word last night. You know what everything's about. You had to have the white hot spotlight. You had to be a Bigfoot last night. Whoa, whoa.